All right, it's part of the stimulus that people don't know about. A new program funded with your tax dollars. It allows government to advise doctors on prescriptions that they pick for you. Sounds like an invasion of your privacy. Someone wake the judge. But isn't it also a conflict of interest? Fox News legal analyst Peter Johnson Jr. has the prescription for truth.
Good morning. I think it is. It's called academic detailing. And they're spending hundreds of millions of dollars at the federal government level for academic detailers. These are consultants to go in and meet with your doctor at primary health care centers and say, listen, I know your patient is using Plavix after a stenting operation, but you can use the generic. I know your patient is using Nexium because the patient has GERD, but you can use the generic. Now, most of the time, generics and name brand drugs are the same. But should the federal government be telling doctors, in terms of people's personal health care, that they should be putting cost over the effectiveness of certain drugs? And a lot of people know, once you're on a certain drug and it's working, they're loath to change it. But if the generic is cheaper, then there's going to be pressure put on the doctors to prescribe generics instead of the name brand drugs.
This is how they describe the program. They say trained clinicians, consultants visit physicians, pharmacists, nurses, and other clinicians, and health care system decision makers nationwide to share unbiased, non-commercial information about the medications and other therapeutic options with the goal of improving patient care. So if they're the same, you could save money and everybody's happy.
But the issue is, should a doctor be conscious of cost, or should a doctor be conscious of the effectiveness of a certain drug and how it's going to be used therapeutically? As a lawyer and as a patient, I say, no, the important thing is the therapeutic effectiveness of the drug, not how we're going to balance the deficit in this country.
It would be interesting to see if you give somebody the option of, like we all do in life, if you want to get a luxury car, you pay more. If you want to get a compact, convenient car, you pay less. It would be interesting if they just allow you to say, I'm going to get Nexium because this way I don't have the GERD.
But that was the concern about Obamacare in some ways, that we're going to create 2 or 3 levels of health care system, and a lot of Americans are going to wind up on the bottom. And so the richest people have the capacity to pay more, will get better medical care. That's the real inequity. The other problem is there's no standards for these so-called academic detailers. We don't know what they're telling the doctors. We don't know what they're seeing. Private pharmaceutical industry is regulated, state, federal, and their own voluntary standards. There are no standards for these federal consultants who are spreading out across the country, preaching whatever they're preaching because we don't know.
All right, Peter Johnson.